speaker schedule. We don't have Dr. Ramaraju Kannumuri. Instead, Professor Mrutyunjay Swar would be our keynote speaker. I request Professor Swar to please come and occupy the chair here. As he's walking up, let me please introduce him. He's the director of KIT School of Biotechnology. He's also been the CEO of KIT Technology Business Incubator, and he finished his education from the University of Delhi. Our first speaker, Professor J.S. Patil, Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Assam. Please, sir, would you take the chair here? Sir has introduced himself in detail, but I will very quickly recount some of the major milestones in his career. He is qualified in law from Karnataka University, Dharwad, and studied also at the University of Mysore. He finished his PhD from Saurashtra University. He was the professor and taught at the Department of Postgraduate Studies and Research in Law at Gulbarga University, and was the Vice Chancellor of Karnataka State Law University from 2009 to 13, currently the Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Judicial Academy, Guwahati. Our next speaker, Professor Pinaki Nandan Patnaik, Head, Center for Management Studies. Sir, would you please occupy the chair? Dr. Patnaik has 2 MBAs from the University of Saskatchewan in Canada and the other from the Maastricht School of Management in Netherlands. Almost 8 years of teaching and research experience, and a specialist in entrepreneurial universities. He's been associated with National College of Applied Arts and Technology, Canada as a professor, and also at the KITS Law School and National Law University, Odisha as an assistant professor of management. His research interests among others are on the impact of law in the success and failure of university spin-offs in particular and businesses in general. Our other speaker on the panel, Dr. Shanta Totum, Director, Innovation Cluster T-Hub. Madam, would you please occupy this chair? Dr. Totum is the Director of the Innovation Cluster at T-Hub. In the past, she has held the post of Program Director, Start Fast Code, Wasabi Ventures, and Arrowhead Center at New Mexico State University. She is a commercialization analyst and has also worked with the Office of Intellectual Property and Technology Transfer at New Mexico State University. This panel will be presided over by Professor Sucharita Chattopadhyay. Madam, would you please also come? Professor Chattopadhyay is the president of the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute, and she is also a professor at the Department of Comparative Literature at Jadavpur University. Her teaching and research interests lie in European literature, Southeast Asian literature, Canadian literature and translation studies. She is also the founder and coordinator of the Center for Canadian Studies at Jadavpur University and a member of the Indian Members Council, Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute since 2005. She is also an executive committee member of the Comparative Literature Association of India and was a joint coordinator for the 11th Biennial International Conference of the Comparative Literature Association of India in Jadavpur University, 2013. I welcome all of you to this panel and this session. Yes. No, I have this. I just don't have his profile. I request Professor Anil Mehrotra to also please come and occupy the chair. Professor Mehrotra has introduced himself, but just to remind ourselves, he is the Secretary Treasurer of the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. And I request Professor Chattopadhyay to please start.
Good afternoon. I welcome all of you to this first panel on conceptualizing entrepreneurial universities in Indian context. We have first we will have the keynote speaker, Professor Mustafa. Do we have any time constraint? How much time do I give my speakers? First, and
We'll take entrepreneurial approach, so I think we'll manage that.
Okay. Okay, fine. I'll invite the keynote speaker, Professor Mrityunjay Swar, first to deliver his address. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mustapha, for inviting me to this half-day workshop. And this is a very, very interesting topic, which nobody has, I've been to several meetings, nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about universities only, never talks about entrepreneurial universities. So, for your knowledge, I am a faculty, I am a professor, but also I understand business language. And today, what I'm going to tell you, probably except one of the person who is sitting there, maybe 90% people, they don't know what is going on in the country and how the government is supporting startup ecosystem. And the other way, how can you make an entrepreneurial university ecosystem? So I'll give you some of those spices today, and if you know how to cook it properly, the taste will be good. So when I was a very young, the postdoc at ETH Zurich, which is supposed to be on the very top level university in the world, it comes in the top 10 ranking probably. And when I went there, I didn't know what ETH stands for. And then I met a couple of Nobel Prize winners, worked with two of them, and they told me how science leads into technology and technology leads into enterprises. I met Novartis, other BSA presidents and all, Deutsche Bank president, Swiss Bank presidents, and understand how the money flows in science and technology business. So then I was invited just after my postdoc by the management of KIT University, the person called Dr. Samantha, who is a very, very powerful social entrepreneur at the moment in the country. And he said, I need a young blood to start School of Biotechnology. I said, sir, I am only 32 years old and I cannot be a director. I can only be assistant professor as per the Indian system. He said, no, I think I want young blood. I think 32 is good because I started KIT when I was 25. And then he moved to ETH Zurich and just for a day, look at him, and stayed with me for a day and said, no, I think you should start. Then I convinced him. I am not for director, just for associate professor. No, he said, you should start this. Then somehow I introduced him to 5 Nobel Prize winners, and then he understood the culture of science and technology and business. All 5 had got companies. Even though they did a lot of fundamental discoveries, NMR, whatever you talk about, MSc class 2 molecule, they led into a lot of company business, and they're all multimillionaires. So he convinced, let us develop a KIT university culture as a more of entrepreneurial university culture. And then I came, I joined, and I met Professor Mustapha there. He was my role model because he speaks so good. And then I learned a couple of things from him, because always I will tell you that entrepreneurial ecosystem, you have to look for opportunities. You have to find opportunities. Then you start plans accordingly. And plans changes. So you'll be, next 5 minutes I'll close my talk. I got my PowerPoint, but because it was running late, I thought if I show you PowerPoint, it will run really late. So I'll give you a very extemp on that. So I'll take you through a concept of technology business incubator, because when I came from science to KIT University, I realized I cannot do that science. I can be to the level of IIC Bangalore or CCMB Hyderabad or whatever, Reddy's Life Science. I thought, why don't we pick up area where country is looking for and things are missing. It's called entrepreneurial ecosystem. And somehow I called a couple of Nobel Prize winners, told them, educate us how to take science into next level of business enterprises. So I'm thankful to a couple of them. I think so far I've got 13 of them. They came to us. Everyone talks about innovations and business model. I'll be happy next year, 25 Nobel Prize winners coming just to speak about innovation and startups ecosystem. So with this, let me tell you the technology business incubator, what we have at KIT University, started in 2009. I joined in 2007 and approached the management technology business incubator. Many of them, they said, including, I should not name them, Vice Chancellor, what Professor Mustapha knows, incubator means an incubator, like a machine. He said, what are you going to do with this incubator? I said, you can create business. No, but you can incubate eggs and all. So I said, sir, are you from? No, I'm from IT. I said, sir, this is an ecosystem which promotes startup companies and very, very prevalent in external world, means other part of the world, not in Indian context at the moment, but let us set it up. A lot of resistance, but he always supports me, Professor Mustapha, because always he educates me that you should go in these directions. So I found out that when I started TBI, we put a slogan, eastern part of India is not sleeping. It was a catching point. Everybody was saying, oh my God, eastern part of India is sleeping. So this guy is saying eastern part of India is not sleeping. And then I was called for a presentation in the Department of Science and Technology, and the former DGCSI, he said, Mrityunjay, really eastern part of India is sleeping because you eat machli and mutton every Sunday and you sleep. So I said, sir, there are a lot of, in genetics, a lot of mutants exist, and you can really do wonders with these mutants. He said, okay, the money is given to you. That was the turning point in our KIT University entrepreneurial ecosystem. So today you'll be very happy. We have largest incubator in the country if you compare if you take all the university, not the private ones, the university system. We have now 120,000 square feet built up space. Nobody believes this. Every IIT, I hope you don't mind, every IIT and IIM, they complain, incubation centers are not sustainable. We brought a concept, incubation centers are profitable, highly profitable. We have multiple growth. 7 of my students, not me, means my department students, funded by startup companies. We are coming up with a proposal in the next 2-3 years. The startup company is going to fund the scholars with 50,000 rupees per month. Look at the change is going to happen. And these are going to work with startups and also going to work with academicians like us or my other faculty members. So this TBA went started in 2009 and now 2016, you'll be very happy. Almost all government agencies have supported us. Name anyone. Even we ignited some of the ministry's mind to support, create new programs. So starting with the DST's funding, then MSME, TDB, many people, they don't know about it. If you have any interesting ideas, if your students have got ideas, my students at master's level are getting 50 lakhs. Faculty are not getting it. It comes to their account. There's a call Ignition Grant by Department of Biotechnology, BIRAC agencies. Anybody can give, including a chemical engineer, electronics engineer can give an idea and it might bring a lot of funding support to startups, maybe innovators. Why I'm trying to tell you all these things, because people have been on the other side complaining Indian government is not supporting. I say they are supporting, but they don't know who are the takers. The takers don't know who is supporting, how they are supporting. So the real business plan for all of us, the university ecosystem people, to come forward, understand what exactly is going happening in the country at the moment. Last month, September I think, we were called for a center of excellence in incubation. Look at it. Incubation has not started in the full swing. Government is saying center of excellence. With a couple of catchy words. You have to bring those words in business plans also. Propose those kind of models. Government is very, very excited to call you for presentation. So we gave it. All IITs, all IIMs, bigger people are there because they will only give 6 centers. Each one of them will get 50 crores. It's big money to set up center of excellence in incubation. You went, everybody was talking, who are the 5-6 going to get this money? There the business plan starts. Within 15 minutes, I realized we have to speak a different language because all IITs have come. Because they didn't tell us who are coming. I saw, on what subject you have written? Somebody said digital health, somebody said something. In the presentations, we changed a couple of concepts. They found, oh my God, this is really important for the country. Let's give these people, startup money of 50 crores. We're the only private player to get this money. Why I'm telling all these things, these days, if you only focus on public, things might not take the right shape. If you really want to see entrepreneurial culture should prevail in Indian system, bring PPP model and support the people who are doing excellent work in this. When he got the money from DST, then DBT came forward, MSME came forward, TDB came forward. Nobody knows about TDB. TDB stands for Technology Development Board. Reddy's person has probably left. Reddy's Lab, Tata Chemicals, any big company, Santa Bayad, everybody has taken money from TDB. And TDB gives money to startups of the scale-up phase, might give you 100 crores, 200 crores. So do not think only you have to go to VCs and angel investors. For a technology-based company, of course not IT, a biotech or the device sectors, instrument sector, TDB comes forward 3,500 crores budget. Nobody talks about it. So this money can go to university ecosystem. However, your startups should be so good, they can attract this much of money. I'll give you one example, Dr. Biren Banerjee in our department, and when he joined, he's a Bengali guy, but not from Bengal, because always talk about their business culture. He was from Jharkhand, very good guy. He was failed in one of our 2 diagnostics companies, and he joined us as a faculty. And then Professor Mustafa knows him very well. And today, he met last time the UK Prime Minister, Indian Prime Ministers, he was called for, and he was very surprised. At this age, very young age, he has hired now 23 startups, he has 23 employees. And then he's raising funds, he got investment funds, he got grants, multi-fold. Why I'm trying to tell you all this, that same guy was a failed candidate, but how he could pass, because he understood what is the business he can do, not what he thinks is very, very interesting to do. So a lot of what we bring in the technology business incubator, those people to educate us, each one of the startups, this is what probably you are making wrong, why don't you take this path? And many of the companies, startups especially, they make these mistakes and they fail knowingly. So KIT TBI was promoting such kind of faculties, and if you really want to bring entrepreneurial ecosystem, your faculties have better strength than the students. Why? This guy, when he approached our management, not the big boss like Samantha, everybody said, no, faculties cannot start the company. Then who's going to teach? I said, come on, let's call guest faculties from somewhere, let's say premier institutions, pay them money, they will teach. And this guy, let him make a nano Bill Gates or something like that. So we can take advantage of the whole branding process. The faculties from KIIT can create such kind of big enterprises. And then our next agenda was, why not the KIIT stands for King of IITs, those kind of lines. So those are the brand punchlines we have been using and trying to go to government, say, this is what we can do, this we cannot do. Today, Dr. Banerjee had 23 staff members, employees, which many, you look at the startup sector in biotech, hardly they've got 3-5. Because it's very, very expensive, all R&D intensive process, biotech startups. Then he got now a King of Saudi investment. You know how the value of those kind of money. So the money is coming, flowing through, and then he's raising those investment funds to take it up in a very global scale. And he registered a company now in UK, and he's going to now look for, in next 2-3 years, 100 employees in biotech sectors. Why I'm trying to tell you, this guy, when he applied, nobody was believing, and then my committee believed. He approached the management and said, this guy deserves salary, leave with salary. So you should not feel that these guys are not respecting you. Let us take. So once you talk about startup taking risk, why don't we take risk supporting them? So let's policymakers should take risk also to support startups. If this is not happening bilateral way, I don't think any collaborations, anything is going to happen in a positive way. So Dr. Banerjee, bright example. One guy, somebody is talking about somebody promoting a LED startup company. Probably some of them have failed. I think many, in fact, 95% startup in the LED sectors failed. And this guy, the BTech 4th year guy, he was failed in 10 subjects. Then our rule says you cannot write exam. Now what you do in an entrepreneurial ecosystem, you cannot simply say, but he's a highly super genius guy who can really teach you electrical engineering, but cannot sit in a class. Because he has a company in the 3rd year having almost 50 employees. Then he hired 400 employees. So now tell me how you develop the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Believe me, in genetics we always believe mutant exists. You have to respect mutants also. So he was a mutant out of the class, and then we managed somehow, I cannot quote those things, but somehow he was passed. I said, he doesn't have to sit in the classroom, but can you take his exam? So he wrote the exam, he passed, very minimum 6 points some grade, but he was happy. And right now he is raising investment fund of 100 crores. So look at today, if these guys can employ, if he gets everything into perfect shape, I think more than 400 people. So all ecosystem you have to build to really make your university as an entrepreneurial ecosystem. Only thing, the policymakers, management level, faculty, students, everybody should have an entrepreneurial mindset or at least attitude. Entrepreneurial ecosystem doesn't mean that you have to be a businessman. You have to think entrepreneurial way. For example, I'm a director. I always talk to my faculties. What is ROI? What is the ROI? So LOI. So those kind of concepts. Let's talk about it. So let's start talking about it. I have seen now one faculty, Dr. Biren Banerjee, now have got 13 faculties of own startups. We are only 38 faculty. Look at time will come, I guarantee you, of course everybody should not start company, otherwise system will collapse. At least 20 will be there. What other will happen, the 18 of them, their attitude is becoming entrepreneurial. The students are becoming different kinds. That's the I want to bring to your table, that once you try to build up an entrepreneurial ecosystem in universities, please think about your policies. I have been to a lot of CSR laboratories, directors, and talking. Maybe he has developed something, discovered something, but he was not allowed to start a company when he was in CSR. He might do something now, but this is totally tricky. He is the innovator, he is the inventor, he is the discoverer, but you're telling him, sorry, CSR will look into it. So because of this system effects, I think probably we couldn't create those mutants in large number which can really create entrepreneurial ecosystem in the university. What we try to tell you, do not bring Google, Microsoft always as examples. If you bring, you will fail. You have to bring always successful examples. Even if 5 crores turnover company, 10 crores turnover company exists in the market, I consider this is the successful example coming from university because your bread and butter is different. To bring that culture of success, you will see a lot of startup faculties, students will jump into it. It was just my team was mentoring one MDS doctor, the dental doctor, and he's Hardik Makkad, and he was so passionate about startup a company. Then he was so infectious, and then he came to us and we mentored him. He recently got 50 lakhs, got now 1.5 crore, 2 crore during the education level. MDS is doing. We've been working now closely. Somebody said LV Prasad. One doctor, Aparna Rao, we helped him to set up, a startup company into glaucoma diagnostic sectors. He got 50 lakhs. Now she got 2.5 crores. Welcome to us. So I get a call from LV Prasad board, especially Balasubramaniam ji, that what you guys are doing there. Because I said, see, doctors has to be entrepreneurial. Because they know the problem very well than people like us. If you decide the right problem statements in your university ecosystem, not based on your research only, based on the public understanding, what demand is there, you can really develop a very, very good startup company. So I have several of them. So KIT TBI stands for KIT Technology Business Incubator. And currently we have now 51 startup company. Look at 2000 journey from 2010, and he will tell you very honestly, I had zero experience in startups. Why? Because nobody was understanding what is called startups, incubation centers. So whatever you do, everybody said yes. When I go to, oh, he's doing good, incubator. So you get an advantage, but then you have to be smart enough to develop the right business plan, and you should be flexible. There's no business plan which is the Bible. You cannot do that. Every time it changes. So when we find opportunities, we talk about it. So I'm telling you a couple of things. For example, a lot of fellowship now has come from Government of India. Many of you don't know about it. Please encourage, let's say EIR program, Entrepreneurship Residence Program. A student at BTech level, if he is coming up with this program, every year 500 fellowships are coming up. Already it has come up. Each one of them will get 30,000 rupees per month. How much they get after BTech in IT companies? I think more or less 30 or 35 or 40 or average like this. If you have interesting ideas and you are saying, I want to build up an entrepreneurial ecosystem, please nurture those kind of young minds who are saying, because of money problem, I am getting into companies. No. Now government has come up with the EIR program. Please go through it. Nidhi scheme of DST, EIR program, which supports startup and the innovators, 30,000 rupees per month. There's a SIP fellowship program, social innovation fellowship program. There's several of them which supports young minds to become entrepreneurs. So I don't think risk is there at the moment. Now, if somebody is who is smart, any one of us can start companies without your money, only with your ideas. Government is so desperate. Government is so desperate, they are not finding the right people. The right people are sitting somewhere else in islands. They are not going to the right, the policy makers. So when we go with our business plan, we are very, very convinced the department, the ministries. Last time the Center of Excellence was for 50 crores. Now what the idea? The concept that under this scheme, you will get fellowships, you will get investment funds in crores. Startup company can get a crore seed fund money. Then you can get Prayas scheme. You want to develop prototypes. After your ideation stage prototype, you can get 10 lakhs each. Filing patents, literally for everything. Hiring people, eating, the cafeteria or something. You get money for every sort of things. Why I'm trying to tell you all this? Because I go to IITs, many of the other institutions, they don't know about it. Still they complain, India is not doing. So I realized at this moment, policymakers are pushing it without knowing how this functions. Right time to develop entrepreneurial ecosystem in the universities. Because otherwise, after 5 years, everybody will be smart. So you have to be much smarter than what you are today. So please be in this race and see that everything is happening. So I'll give you several other examples, but because of the time, I told you that I have to finish it up. Only thing I can see in India, the system is very, very conducive. Everybody is progressing, promoting. Of course, couple of things are missing, literally, because suddenly things came, Startup India, Make in India, Make Up India, any kind of brand people are bringing up without understanding much what is going to happen. So this will take some time, but you are smart people, take advantage of it, mentor your students, mentor your startups, mentor your faculties. For example, the faculty who does business in our university ecosystem, we give him the 50% class. Sometimes no class, in one semester free. So that should not be the target that to get Bhatnagar award I should do good science. Here, if you are a good innovator, we will promote you by providing such kind of advantages or value additions. So bring this culture into your ecosystem. I'm definitely sure a lot of support scheme coming from government side. Once we got Center of Excellence in Digital Health, Ericsson came, GE came, Xerox came. Now I have been called by Israel government. If everything goes well, Israeli government says we can put up 200 crores. You know, 200 crores you can build a small university. So trying to tell you, these companies, when they grow, one or two of them, three of them, they might run your universities as per the equity share norms and conditions. One of the company called Robotic US Private Limited, maybe Pinaki knows about it, Mr. Mustafa knows, the first startup company came out from TBI, a KIT university, 4 engineering students. Everybody opposed, this is not going to happen. And today they raised 50 crores fund. 3 crores initially, $3 million, right now next one is $7 million. So 50 crores, today the value of the company is 300 crores. And KIT TBI had got some stake, we diluted the stake, we got 16-fold money. Let's say X amount, I got 16X amount. Just imagine if 5 such company comes up, we can really run our institutions in a different level. We can float the kind of fellowship what we want. Even more than the salary of assistant professor, the bright PhD scholar fellowship program. You can do anything. And that's what is only possible by private-public partnership. Because publicly, public institutions, you cannot bring this culture so quickly unless until the whole systems get more entrepreneurial. With this, I thank everybody, especially Professor Mustafa and Pinaki for inviting me to this. And tomorrow I'm speaking at Bioeconomy Conclave, Delhi. And again, the whole debate is why biotech is not booming up in the country. That's what, I have some role to bring skills into the sector of innovations. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Swar, and also special thanks for keeping to the time. I now have 4 other speakers here, and I would first invite Professor J.S. Patel, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Assam. May I request you, sir, to keep your not very, very brief, but that would be unfair. But I leave it to your judgment. Thank you.
I will be careful about it. Thank you, Chairperson Madam, and other distinguished speakers, and all distinguished members in this room. I would rather go a little differently. Ever since the speech of Dr. Modi in Madison Square Garden into other countries, wherein political analysis like Arnav Goswami hyped him into a global political rock star, the whole of the world started looking at India with a different hope and expectation, and we are into that kind of an environment today. And I read Modi ji very carefully. He is more into nationalism and alleviating the downtrodden, the last man. Legal education, because a lot of you are entrepreneurial, business, technology, science, a few of us are from law. We are doing some different kind of an activity in the legal education. We have spectrum of them. Private, unaided, aided law colleges, and then we have government law colleges, university law colleges, private universities, state universities, and then national law universities. So we have a plethora and there is no uniformity. Tough game for legal education leaders in handling these kinds of institutions. I did one massive university way back 2006. I was assigned with a job of building a university in Karnataka state with all 100 law colleges put into one umbrella. We did that. The second experiment, very successful. Tamil Nadu, they have only 7 law colleges. That was the first experiment. Lot of technology we put in, and the whole legal education spectrum in Karnataka has been put into a terrific change by this. Then now I am in the Northeast in a national law university, which is another experiment for me to build, reconstruct rather, one which has been. So legal education is the regulator. We are every other sector of the society. Rule of law means everybody is afraid. And lots of foreign investments do not come about because of the procedural wranglings and legality. Too much of a legality, too much of a rule of law. So what is the role that legalists can play in this new environment? Law, can it be from policing to facilitating? Is it possible? That is what some of these national law universities are attempting at. But then I have a different perspective altogether. And my own experience of 35 to 36 years in legal education process. As a young teacher in the University College of Law, which during those days used to be described as Harvard of India, I incubated, if I can use your language, a legal University College of Law Legal Aid Society, when India was never thinking in terms of those things. In 1982, I started with a student group. And then there were a lot of halla-gulla in the country in the name of public interest litigation by people like M.C. Mehta, Justice Tarkunde, Upendra Bakshi, Lotika Sarkar, doing a lot of public interest litigating and rendering social justice to the people. We had a problem like capitation fee. You know, lakhs and lakhs of rupees people need to pay for getting admission into medical, engineering, technology courses in Karnataka and elsewhere also. So our student group challenged this in the Supreme Court, and all our cases under Unni Krishnan we won. We taught a lesson to the government of Karnataka and then said, you have to behave. You have to talk the constitutional language of equality, providing the last fellow also something good. Then this success story made our daily wage workers union, led by Mr. K.S. Sharma, a very great trade union leader, to come to us and then say, please fight our case. We had become icons by then as a young student community. Then we took up that case and fought it. People like Ram Jethmalani, A.G. Nurani became our free advocates. I'm giving a totally different, trying to give a different perspective altogether. And then we won that case, and it is along with Keshwanand Bharati you have in the Supreme Court Museum, University College of Law Legal Aid Society, and Karnataka Daily Wage Workers Union versus Government of Karnataka. 50,000 daily wage workers have been regularized. Mr. Ramakrishna Hegde was the Chief Minister, was terribly afraid of the financial the distress that he will have to face. Then we were bombarded, pressurized to withdraw the case. Then we said nothing doing. We won the case and then taught the government a lesson that by you have to behave once again. So these were the stories of building the legality in this country with this kind of creative law, young law students during those days. Then I was appointed as a special officer and later vice chancellor to build this Karnataka State Law University. I did some experiments which are of a different type. I introduced khadi as the dress code in a law university, and my friends in national law universities cajoled me and then said, this man is taking his law university 100 years backwards. And then I reacted and then said, I am very proud for that. If I am taking my students into the Gandhian era, I am really proud for that. And I successfully did that. The net result has been revival of about 7,000 handloom industry, Khadi Gramodyog, and today it is a state policy. Thousands of crores of rupees budget we create every year, and almost like 20 lakhs of handloom weavers today have their small business houses in a beautiful way. And this is the kind of an experiment we did. This time it is not teaching lesson to the government, working with the government as a university, building a new thing. And it was a BJP government under Yediyurappa and others. It was so very tough for me to wear a Gandhi cap and then move around. Wearing Gandhi cap as a vice chancellor. Perhaps I am the only vice chancellor in the 600 and odd universities that we have in this country. So Justice Malimat, who is no more, when he visited my university, said, Professor Patil, if Gandhi experimented with the truth, you are experimenting with Gandhi. It looked impossible for the people, but then I did it. Now Professor Faizan tells me, aap wahan par in northeastern place, in National Law University, Assam, you will definitely bring Khadi. He accepts that. Because if you are willing, if you have the commitment, you can revive things. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about in that fit of emotion, that pace with which you want to corporatize, entrepreneurialize the whole stuff, I would wind up my speech with a word of caution. Bear with us. We are India. Look at those lost persons and build your entrepreneurship for them. That's what I am doing in National Law University, Assam. Thank you.
Also for keeping to time. If we have any questions for the speakers, we could have it at the end of the session. So now I invite Dr. Pinaki Patnaik, Head, Center for Management Studies, NALSAR.
So this is getting recorded, so nothing is off the record. And I will begin with a small little, not an anecdote, but something that one of my mentors, Professor Anil Mitra, always says. He says universities are an universe of knowledge, and everything should come in. And there should be a lot of churning inside universities for the legible outcomes. Universities in India, of course, are a very old phenomenon. I mean, people have written about it. Of course, it's open to debate and challenge. But we say the realm of knowledge creation and storage began in India. And people have had their own ways of putting things, and then there are others. So universities in India have been at the verge of generation of knowledge for a very long time, and there is no doubt about that. So we have been essentially doing pure research and very recently applied research. These are fundamentally, in terms of science and technology, pure and applied research. Pure research, of course, is for pushing the boundaries of knowledge further, challenging our own selves and questioning realities. And of course, applied research is for application, so that formulates technology. And then we have storehouses of knowledge. Universities have storehouses of knowledge in terms of libraries and databases. And that probably is where the opportunity lies. What to do with this storehouse? Now in management, I'm sure the chartered accountant is sitting there and probably will recognize the fact that the cost of inventory in any business, the cost of inventory is seriously high. And if you do not know what to do with that inventory, it is just a matter of time when you're going to collapse. We should not do that to ourselves. We should not create unsustainable inventories in terms of knowledge. We create a lot of knowledge and nothing happens. We write a paper, the paper gets published, and then it bites dust because it can't be republished. So the value of that paper is as good as one publication and some citations. Respect grows, but that's just about it. When I landed in Canada, it was just about the ending of summers, and I saw something really fantastic. There was this young, small little girl child, maybe about 7 years old or 8 years old, standing beside the road selling lemonade, selling underlined lemonade. So I went across and I said, "Yaar, ye India mein to kabhi dekha nahi. Selling lemonade," and it's written, $1 or for a glass of lemonade. So I paid that dollar and I said, "Yaar, kuch extra hoga isme, something more." And it was just pure lemonade. And I had it, and I asked some of my colleagues the next day at University of Saskatchewan, "Yeah, I saw this really interesting thing." They said, "What is so interesting about it? We all do it. That's the way we earn our pocket money." I said, "You earned? This is a 7-year-old girl. What are you talking about? A 7-year-old girl in summers stay indoors, watch TV in India. That's all that they do when they get cuddled." And they said, "Well, that's just how it is." So my argument is, we talk a lot about encouraging entrepreneurial studies into the curriculum. We bridge it in, we bring it in. But is that what is required? Is skill training required or skill learning required? And there's a big difference between training and learning. We train a lot of our kids in moral science. Well, demonetization would not have happened. So therefore, training is not working. Maybe learning will. So let us try and inculcate this. Our parents have to stand up and learn that this is important, that my child goes out and spends some time outside earning a pocket money, at least once. Today we require deployment of knowledge. We have a lot of knowledge, no doubt about it. When a lot of scientists have spoken before me, and there are many after me. There are people who, when the name is uttered, our head goes up and we sink in. But deployment is not happening for sustainable societal outcomes. That has to happen. That deployment has to happen. That last mile push. And that last mile push, of course, can happen at multiple levels. At a societal level, maybe a policy change is required, so that we can give that small little nudge. And we begin to celebrate failures. Now there is something in Hyderabad which we started in, I think Texas. It's called the F-Day, Saturdays or Fridays. But we don't do those, because in India, you do not talk about your failures at all. We just do not. Our CV, I can pick up any CV. How many CVs of ours would have a failure mentioned? Never. Never. We just shoo them out and we stalk them. But let us also begin to celebrate our failures, and only then probably we'll have the courage to move that one more step ahead. There is no doubt that entrepreneurs are the backbone of any country and national growth. And it's so important that in the 1970s, when the Americans were experiencing a slowdown in entrepreneurial activity, a couple of senators came down and formulated the Bayh-Dole Act, because they saw that a lot of public money is going into these universities, and this is fundamentally for public universities. So we're talking about public universities as such. And they said a lot of taxpayers' dollars are getting invested into the universities for R&D, and sure, a lot of research is happening. What about the development? And development for whom? For an individual or for the society? If it is for an individual, then why am I paying? You should do it, right? You earn your degree paying for your own degree. Why should I pay for you to become a tenure track professor? I should not. And so therefore, they formed the Bayh-Dole Act, and that has pushed the American entrepreneurial ecosystem notches ahead. It was so successful that it is replicated throughout the world. We also tried it. In India also there was this push for such an act, the Purip Bill. And bill is of course important because it has lapsed. And the argument was that this is India, and in India, the state has to take interest in universities. For what? Doing politics. So that the youth leaders will come up from there. For what? That hasn't happened. Maybe the present government will take note. So we are trying to at least conceive in our mind such a formulation and send it across to the MHRD so that it can be revived. If not revived, then maybe something new, but something has to come up. We are at an inflection point. A country of 1.3 billion people, how many jobs can we create? And then in the parliament we talk about job creation. What is the percentage of job creation that has happened? Well, jobs can't be created. You know, it's not a curry that can be cooked by mom. Not going to happen. Until and unless we develop entrepreneurs, we develop companies like Infosys or Wipros or the Tatas for that matter. Tata, of course, I'm sure all of you know, but they are the biggest manufacturing job creator in UK. Biggest Tatas, Indian company. So if that has to happen, then we need to celebrate failures and to be able to say that once failing is not there for life. Like, you know, it's not a chand pe kala dhabba kinds. And therefore the spirit of endeavor has to be focused. We have to celebrate the endeavor. Outcome will come much later. Krishna said that in Gita also. So let us do away with this fear of failure and have an appetite for risk. A lot of it has been talked about, appetite for risk. I can guarantee you that you can't tell somebody in their years or build it into the MBA curriculum that, you know, see, the risk is calculated in this equation and therefore start taking it. Well, nobody is going to take it. Nobody is going to take it. What probably is required is the last mile rush. And all of us here who are faculty and who have a lot of impact on what we say on students, let's try and encourage this, you know, endeavor to push for something new and to have at least one more person stand up with you societally benefiting from that outcome. I will not take a lot of time. I have, before I of course finish, I will tell you an appetite for risk, an anecdote of appetite for risk. When we joined National Law University, Orissa, 2009, Professor Mustafa, of course, was the founding vice chancellor. I was one of the founding faculties, and he said, "Well, Pinaki, तुम्हारा तो PhD नहीं है. Growth के लिए in this profession you need a PhD." I said, "Okay, sir." And he said, "किस में करोगे PhD?" So I said, "Sir, I want to work on university spin-offs." He said, "यार बेकार. Don't do it." You know why? Because you will never find material in India. There is nothing in India. Nothing happens in India. So therefore, don't do it. You can't finish a PhD. PhD requires a survey of literature. Where is the literature? So I said, "Okay, sir." Then he said, "No, can I do a comparative?" He told me, "Don't do it. Do something else." So I worked on it. I said, "Sir, I'm not going to do away with this. I will do it. This is what I want to do." He said, "It's going to be very difficult." And I said, "Well, everybody wants to do the easy thing. Let me at least stand up and do the difficult one." And we finished it at one go. The book is now published. Thank you, sir. We have taken a lot of risk in doing that. It was horrendous work. He used to call me at 2 o'clock in the night and say, "Are you still writing or not?" And that is the risk that people have to take. You have to ensure that hours in a clock are counted by minutes, not by night and day, where night means to sleep. All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I hope something works out.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kind of feeling chills down my spine because I'm a novice in Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem. I went to US in 2001. Mere engineer, electronics and instrumentation engineer, with tons of theoretical knowledge. I was a gold medalist from Kaki University, and went to US with no practical experience at all. It's like itty-bitty lab experiments and everything in undergraduation, but how to put that theoretical knowledge into practical, no exposure. Went to university in New Mexico State, and I did my master's, learned a lot. I should have stayed back for 1.5 more years to finish my PhD, but I said, no, let's get into the industry and keep working. So I worked as an engineer as usual, stuck to the comfort zone. And in 2001, I got the act. And then I thought, like, what should I do different? Be an engineer or do something else? Went back to my alma mater and got my PhD in electrical engineering. But this time I was not stuck to the comfort zone because I already got the jolt from what it's being an engineer and how can you, turn yourself into like a seasoned professional. So as a grad student, I am eligible to work on campus. So I did not take a teaching assistantship. Rather, it's an interesting thing. But I said, like, I'll go to this intellectual property and technology transfer office on campus and learn something different. And I worked in industry for 5 years, and when I went to this office, they saw value I'm adding to the table, and they gave me opportunities to work on assessing the patents which are sitting there on the shelf. So, like, why we are not doing anything with these patents? There is some technology, like, we can do some technology evaluation and move them into the market. So by then, the proof of concept centers, MIT started, University of San Diego started. And like I said, like, I'll go through these proof of concept centers, curriculum, and we'll start something for our New Mexico State. That was a stepping stone for me to, like, to lead programs, to structure programs. And then we got funding from ICEED. It's again from for university technology commercialization programs. And I started, structuring the program. It was initially like, you give seed funding to the university faculty members and then do nothing about it. And 2 years down the line, nothing happened, no commercialization, other than patents disclosed to the university. And we doing the technology evaluation and making sure, like, if we can file the patents and so forth and so on. So then I said, like, this is also not working. Let's do something else. So parallelly, not just the proof of concept center, parallelly we started doing technology evaluation and also moving those technologies into market, either find licensees who can license these technologies and pay university royalties or start up businesses. Fourth year, I thought I was working on commercialization analyst, technology commercialization, but then fourth year, I took another leap and I went to New York. As a student, I'm not supposed to, electrical engineering, PhD student, I'm not supposed to work other than electrical engineering. But my interest and the value I'm adding to the university made my university to give a special permission to go to New York. And this is like out of my curiosity. I approached an accelerated program in New York, so it's in Syracuse, and expressed my interest, saying, like, this is what I am. I want to learn what is being done in an accelerated program so that I can take it back to my university and tailor it to the needs of the university. So 2015, I went to Syracuse and I ran an accelerated program, 3 months, helping 5 startups that raised $1 million seed funding. And I said, like, I went back to university, I said, we need to do something else, not just giving the seed funding, but we need to put these academic, these researchers who are coming from pure academic settings into a program. So we looked into, how many of you know the NSF I-Code program? So it's an interesting program. I can shed some light on that. So it's National Science Foundation and the government, they came up with these funding for innovators who are coming from the academic settings, just like a normal grant. But what they did was, as usual, like, if you give the grant to a faculty member, they'll be more than happy to go back to the lab and run their experiments and create, like, innovation. But what are we doing after innovation, right? That's the question for everyone. So Steve Blank, I know most of you know him, he taught the Lean Launchpad at Stanford. He and NSF came up with this program, I-Core, so which is like a 9 weeks, extensive program for faculty members who really got funding from NSF somehow and who wants to move their research into the market. So it's not like just giving money, but also like putting them into a curriculum, saying like 9 weeks, you are working with an instructor. Now you are changing the roles and you are becoming a student. You're not an professor anymore. So they will work in the instructors will handhold these faculty members, and they do 9 weeks of program. Each week they have to they have a technology, but these faculty members, people coming from academic setting, they don't have any exposure on what this technology, can be translated into. No commercialization knowledge, no they only speak technical jargon. They don't have any entrepreneurial jargon. So this program helped the faculty members to spend some time, and then every week they getting into the market and reaching out to customers to profile their customers, the personas of the customers. I have a technology. How can I move this technology, and how can someone buy my technology? So they started doing like 10 to 15 interviews to assess like if this technology has any value. Can I license this technology, or can I just start up a business? So that's how it triggered, and so far NSF, there are like hundreds of faculty members who went through this program. And I found it really interesting, and I took that program and tailored it to our needs of New Mexico State, and we started a mini ICOR program. And then, and also the accelerator program I ran, I took it back, I stepped back, and I thought like, they're not serial entrepreneurs, the faculty members. They don't have that kind of time and mindset to like, engage in this program. How can I put these faculty members into similar curriculum? So I came up with the technology commercialization accelerator program. So I ran it for almost like a semester long, because I can't put them in an intensive 3 months program. So I tailored it such that like the faculty member can work with a student. It's not like laden completely the faculty member, but rather like he can get in a student, apply with the student, so that the student can do the groundwork. So successfully, like we gave seed capital, and KPI driven milestones we used to set up at this beginning of the program. And after a semester, I could see a lot of change in the mindset of the faculty members. And we called it Launch Proof of Concept Center. So I ran it almost like for 5 years. And again, 2016, I graduated, and in summer, we don't do anything at New Mexico State. Again, I went back to New York to run the accelerator program again, 5 more startups. Then I started thinking like, how can I add value to the system? Should I continue, stay back there and get into NSF or do something which is already evolved, or come back to my roots and do something different? So like a couple of days I gave a thought, and then I heard of T-Hub. I said like, something is brewing, I should take the ride. And one fine day, I sent an email very casually to T-Hub team saying like, this is what I am. I'm an engineer, but this is what I did for the past 6 years while getting my PhD. So can I add value to the ecosystem, whatever we are building in the startup ecosystem in India? And then I told like, money is just a number for me. I'm not too keen. I can make 150K if I stay back in US. I said like, I don't want to. 3 months ago, and I was offered a director of innovation cluster, and I took that job. I called my dad and said like, I'm taking this job and I'm coming back. So looking back all, past 6 years, I can say like today when I'm here, I felt like, there's reason, and I can connect the dots right now, because you guys are stalwarts. I'm nothing in front of you guys. And listening to your stories and your experiences, I feel there is still a lot of gap. And we can fill that gap. And I would be more than happy to help you guys in understanding like what can we do to make this system better. If you are willing to like, tailor, take some programs in US and tailor them for our needs, I'm more than happy to help you guys. So as the director of innovation cluster at T-Hub, I started running accelerator programs and other, challenging programs underneath 7 verticals. We identified 7 verticals. So this is interesting for me. I'm right now working on the Intel DST Innovate for Digital India Challenge. We already identified top 10 teams which will be participating in the accelerator program. So whatever I learned in US, I'm like kind of like, tailoring that knowledge to Indian ecosystem, and hope I succeed in making, building this ecosystem and add some value to it at the end of the day. Thank you so much.
My talk is going to be quite different from all the eminent speakers who have spoken before. I'm here to talk a little bit about the mission of the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. I know many of you belong to institutions that already are members of Shastri. Some of you are not, and if you are not, after my presentation, I would hope that you go back to your institution and urge them to become member of the Shastri Institute. It's a wonderful organization. Of course, it's named after India's former Prime Minister, who I actually met as a young boy back in the 60s, Lal Bahadur Shastri. And of course, the former Prime Minister of Canada took the lead in establishing the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. I can leave this presentation as a PDF file later on, and if you feel you can send an email to one of the organizers, and they'll be happy to send it to you. Okay, so I'm not going to read all the slides in view of the time especially. I'll just go over some salient features. And so it was started 48 years ago in 2018. We're going to be celebrating 50 years of Shastri Institute, and we are already planning on that. Some of the time we spent yesterday and day before was to talk about how we'll carry out the celebration. Can I have the next slide, please? So it started with 3 institutions back in 1968, grew up to 27 in 2005, and as of a couple of days ago, we had 87 members. Today, at least unofficially, we are at 104 institutions, and about 1/3 of them are in Canada and about 2/3 in India. So we have done a pretty good job in terms of growing the number of members of this institution. Can I have the next slide, please? Mission is to build and strengthen intellectual and cultural linkages between Canada and India through exchange of faculty members, exchange of students, carry out a dialogue, meaningful research, and so on and so forth. 4 thematic areas are listed here. We focus on faculty members, exchange of their interaction, of course, exchange of undergraduate students, exchange of postgraduate students, and exchange of postdoctoral fellows as well. And we also provide some money for sort of startup. Actually, one should look at the support Shastri provides as seed money. It's not enough to carry out any meaningful, large-scale research program. We look at it as seed money, use that money, and then go out and seek larger amount of money to carry out a larger, more meaningful research initiative. Next slide, please. So these 2 maps indicate that we have institutions representing all of India and all of Canada, basically. So it's not a regional kind of, and we welcome members from all parts of the 2 countries, India and Canada. Recently, in July this year, an MOU was signed by MHRD, Government of India, to give money for 5 years of operation for Shastri. Prachi, how much was the number? Is there like? Okay, 33 point. Yeah, crore. I'm not any more familiar with crore. Crore is what, 10 million? Total is 7 million Canadian dollars, okay, which is a large sum of money, and we welcome this money. So this photograph was taken during their signing ceremony. Next one. We have the large body that of the institute has membership from all institutions. So every institution is asked to kind of select and appoint a representative. Out of that, we have an executive council, elected members. There is president, our Professor Sucharita. Girish Shah is our vice president. He was our former president, and now he's going to be our president next year again. That's how our setup is. Not we favor him, but both of these people do a fantastic job. Of course, I'm there. And Margaret could not be here. Professor Hariharan sitting there. And of course, we all know the last person there, Professor Mustafa. He's also a member of the Executive Council. Okay. Next one. These are some historic programs and activities that have been supported by the Shastri Institute. A lot of changes took place over the years, and the next two slides will highlight the initiatives that we have, the key initiatives that we have, the titles that we have for funding programs supported by Canadian grants and Indian money as well. Can we go to the next slide? So these are Shastri programs offered by the Canada office of the Shastri Institute, faculty training and internationalization program. And we love acronyms too. Like India is full of acronyms. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You guys talk in acronyms. I get lost. But here we have Canadian acronyms: FDI, SRG, SSTSG, SMDF. I'm still learning. And SPSG in aid. So these are initiatives. These are headings under which we provide money. And each heading, there is an amount specified: $5,000, $6,000, $1,000, or $500, and so on. And we ask people to apply for money. That we have a peer evaluation process, selection process, independent committee that makes the recommendations to the Executive Council, and then we approve it. So these are the Canadian. Then similarly, India office in New Delhi offers these programs, and the deadline for this year is we still have time. End of December, I believe, is the deadline. So those of you get excited by looking at it, please, you still have time, more than a month to work on it. And we like to have good applications. So please submit your applications for funding under any of these categories, or more than one categories. The Shastri Institute Institutional Collaborative Research Grant, what we require is part Canada and India. You cannot just have, give me money, I want to do something in India by myself, in my cubicle or in my lab. There has to be a partnership. Each research initiative has to have a partner from India and a partner from Canada. At least one from each. More is better. Then we have programs for student fellowship. We look at senior undergrads, postgraduates, masters, MPhil, doctoral students, postdoctoral students, and so on. Then there is Shastri Mobility Program. It allows Indian scholars to spend some time in Canada and learn how things are done over there. Something like best practices kind of experience, and facilitation and information center as well. So these are some initiatives. More information you can obtain from the website. The last slide, I think, is my thank you slide. Oh, no. Oh, there is another program. This is MHRD's program offered by, and it's a very well-funded program. The purpose of this program, this is not a Shastri program. Shastri has been entrusted to look after this program for Canadian experts. And the program, GIAN, G-I-A-N, Global Initiative for Academic Networks, it has specified areas and where we invite, there's a proposal and screening and so on, but in the end, Canadian experts can come here, deliver short courses up to 20 hours or a little longer, up to 30, 35 hours worth of teaching. They come, and idea is to teach the teachers, basically, train Indian academic people, faculty members in areas that India may need help. So this is a very interesting program, and if it involves a Canadian faculty member to come and teach, then Gyan will look after, Shastri will look after Gyan's program for MHRD. And again, the details are there, and so on. So the next slide, I think, is the thank you slide. So there are 2 offices. Their locations are listed here. India office is in New Delhi. Dr. Prachi Kaul, all your questions, please ask Dr. Kaul, and I'm here just to represent her and other members of the Executive Council. Thank you very much.
Professor Mustafa's request, we will postpone the question answer session since we are really running late, and we'll move on to the next session right away.